Camp Hero, 1983. Children vanished. Portals tore open, and the government erased everything. The dark truth behind Stranger Things. And at the end of this video, there's a photograph no one was supposed to see. You thought Stranger Things was fiction? There's a real place. Camp Hero, Montauk, New York. A military base that, officially, closed in 1981. But the lights kept flickering. Mind control. Time travel. Children ripped from the streets. Portals tearing through reality itself. 11 isn't an invention. Hawkins' lab has real coordinates. And the upside down might be closer than you think. Today you'll discover the story that inspired one of Netflix's biggest phenomena. And at the end, one question will burn in your mind. What if none of this is theory? If you're addicted to mysteries that history tried to bury, subscribe now. Because we don't do shallow theories here. We investigate down to the bone. We dig up what they want hidden. Hit the bell. Comment your theory. Stay till the last second. Let's go. Long Island, New York, 1942. World War II is devouring the world. Nazi U-boats are hunting American ships along the coast. The answer? Camp Hero. Cannons capable of sinking destroyers. Reinforced concrete bunkers. Strategic watchtowers. All real. All verifiable. But when the war ended, the base didn't close. It evolved. 1950s, Cold War. Camp Hero gets a new heart, a colossal radar, and /FPS 35 model, capable of detecting Soviet threats hundreds of miles away. Officially, to surveillance. But in 1981, Camp Hero is deactivated. Or it should have been. Locals report strange lights cutting through darkness, heavy machinery noise, military convoys in the early morning hours. Today you can visit the park, but entire sections are blocked off, rusted gates padlocked shut, tunnels filled with industrial concrete. 40 years later, still guarded? Because in the levels below the surface, something happened. Something that could never leak out. What happened in those buried tunnels? The next chapter unveils experiments that violated the laws of physics. And yes, they used children. Early 1990s. An electrical engineer named Preston B. Nichols wakes up screaming. These aren't nightmares. They're memories. Memories of an underground base. Of forbidden experiments. Of things that defy sanity. With Peter Moon, he decides the unthinkable. Expose everything in a book. The Montauk Project. Experiments in time. The revelation. Camp Hero never closed. Between 1971 and 1983, it became the epicenter of the Cold War's most extreme experiments. And what he revealed was just the beginning. Mind control using electromagnetic frequencies, research on temporal folds, development of living psychic weapons, and the central horror, children, orphans invisible to the system, street kids no one would search for. They called them Montauk Boys. Dragged to laboratories buried beneath Camp Hero, injected with experimental drugs, subjected to high-voltage electroshocks, exposed to controlled radiation, isolated in sensory deprivation tanks for days. The objective? Force latent psychic abilities to awaken, create conscious biological weapons, capable of reading thoughts across continents, telekinesis at a distance, mental projection. But now, pay very close attention. That giant radar on top of the base, it wasn't just surveillance. It was the core of a much larger experiment, a consciousness amplifier, capable of taking a single human thought and multiplying it by millions, capable of projecting realities into space-time and tearing rifts between dimensions. Nichols claims to have built the Montauk chair, a throne of electromagnetic sensors, wires connected directly to the cerebral cortex. Whoever sat in it transcended linear time, could see decades into the past, decades into the future, and cross into parallel realities. Insanity? Maybe. But Nichols wasn't alone. Other men emerged from the shadows, all with the same story, details that fit together perfectly. One of them would change everything. Al Bielek. And what he said connected Montauk to an earlier experiment, decades before. one that supposedly tore the very fabric of reality. 1943, a warship, a doomed crew, and the experiment that proved the impossible has already been achieved. The Philadelphia experiment. Stay. October 28, 1943. Philadelphia Naval Shipyard. The war is consuming lives daily. German U-boats are sinking dozens of Allied ships per week. The U.S. Navy is desperate for technological advantage. The solution? Applied quantum physics. Use high-intensity electromagnetic fields to bend radar waves around a ship. Make it invisible. The chosen vessel, USS Eldridge, destroyer DE-173. When the Tesla generators were activated, the Eldridge began to pulse. An unnatural emerald green glow enveloped the hull. And then, the ship vanished from the harbor. Not just from radar, from physical space. Witnesses at the Norfolk, Virginia base, 300 miles south, swore they saw the Eldridge materialize there for minutes before evaporating again. When it reappeared in Philadelphia, sailors were fused into the ship's steel, arms emerging from walls, faces frozen in expressions of eternal agony. Those who survived physically went insane. Glazed eyes, mute, trembling, they muttered senseless words. Fold, void. They saw us. Many never recovered their sanity. Some simply disappeared from military records. Officially, never happened. The Navy categorically denied it. Navigation logs prove the Eldridge was in New York that day. Case closed. Except Al-Bielek said something disturbing. I was on deck in 1943, and I crossed over. According to him, along with his brother Duncan Cameron, he survived the experiment, but the CIA erased their memories, implanted false identities. Decades later, under hypnotic regression, the memories returned, and Duncan Cameron reappeared at Camp Hero, 1970s, sitting in the Montauk chair, using amplified psychic abilities to open dimensional rifts. The same rifts the Eldridge crossed in 1943. Two experiments, separated by 3 decades, but intertwined by an impossible truth. Portals, overlapping dimensions, nonlinear time. Sounds like delusion, until you discover what historians found, or rather, what they couldn't find. Let's be brutally honest. There is no official evidence of the Montauk Project. 0 declassified documents, 0 verified leaks, 0 tangible physical proof. Historians are direct. The base existed. The radar existed. Military operations are verifiable. But mind control, kidnapped children, portals, there's nothing. The Philadelphia experiment, same verdict. Naval records are clear. The Eldridge wasn't in Philadelphia that day. So, conspiracy theory debunked? Here's the problem nobody wants to admit. Governments lie, systematically. And this isn't paranoia. It's proven history. Project MKUltra, CIA mind control using LSD and psychological torture. Denied for 20 years. Exposed by leaked documents in 1975. Tuskegee experiment. U.S. government deliberately let black men die from syphilis to study disease progression. Denied. Confirmed in 1972. Operation Northwoods. CIA planned false flag terrorist attacks against American citizens to justify invading Cuba. Approved by military chiefs. Only not executed because JFK vetoed it. Operation Paperclip. Government secretly recruited hundreds of Nazi scientists after the war. Denied for decades. Fully confirmed. Absence of public proof was never proof of absence. And Camp Hero still has blocked structures. Tunnels filled with tons of industrial concrete. Areas with active surveillance decades after deactivation. Why? What's down there that, 40 years later, still needs protecting? Maybe nothing. Maybe everything. Real or legend? This story shaped global culture. Stranger Things. And it started right here. 2016 Netflix launches Stranger Things. Within weeks, global phenomenon. And the Duffer Brothers, the series creators, never hit the source, the original working title, before any episode existed. Montauk. It's not homage. Its direct transplant. 11. Torn from her mother as a child. Raised in an underground government lab. Guinea pig for brutal experiments. Developed devastating telekinesis. And the most important ability, opening rifts to another dimension. The Hawkins National Laboratory. Camp Hero under another name. Bunkers. Secret experiments. Children as weapons. The Upside Down, that parallel shadow dimension, echoing our reality but corrupted, is exactly the type of space between dimensions described in Montauk theories. The Duffers took real urban legends, concrete Cold War fears, and created pop mythology. But it doesn't stop there. Montauk Chronicles, documentary directed by Christopher Garetano, interviews Preston Nichols, Al Bielek, and other survivors. Hours of testimony, real footage of Camp Hero, accounts that interweave disturbingly. Books, investigative podcasts, forums dedicated to unraveling every detail. Because real or fictional, the Montauk Project became a cultural archetype, a legend capturing universal fears, governments operating beyond the law, science without ethics, children as disposable test subjects. And maybe, just maybe, there's a core of truth buried in this mythology, a core that will never be officially acknowledged, but that remains alive, growing in the shadows, haunting. So what is Montauk? A real military installation? Yes. An elaborate conspiracy legend? Also yes. The genesis of Stranger Things? Undoubtedly. But is there something more? Hidden in the stories of Montauk boys who were never located, in the repressed memories of men like Bielek and Nichols. The truth is we'll never know with absolute certainty. Not while documents remain classified national security. Not while entire sections of Camp Hero remain blocked from the public. But one thing I know, Stranger Things didn't come from a void. It was born from tangible fears, from whispered stories, from a place you can touch, and maybe from experiments that violated every boundary. Camp Hero still exists. You can go there tomorrow. Walk among the corroded bunkers. Look at that rusted radar against the gray sky. Feel the freezing Atlantic wind. But when you're standing before those locked gates, when you look at those tunnels filled with concrete, remember, some doors, once opened, leave permanent scars on reality. And now, the photograph I promised. 2014 urban explorers breached the forbidden tunnels of Camp Hero. Infrared cameras, recording equipment. They found an unmapped room, chemical marks on the walls, symbols no one could decipher, and a chair, rusted, covered in severed wires, with burn marks on the backrest. The photos were posted on an obscure forum. Views exploded. 48 hours later, deleted. Accounts terminated. Backups corrupted. Servers offline. Technical coincidence? Or is someone, even decades later, still protecting what happened down there? Some stories, no matter how many times they're denied, never stop bleeding. Do you think governments can hide experiments like this for decades? Comment now. If you want more mysteries like this, real stories that challenge everything you've been taught, subscribe, hit the bell, share with those who can handle the truth. Next week, another cursed place, another buried secret, another story that will shatter your perception. Some questions never have definitive answers, but that won't stop us. Keep questioning.